Hi guys, welcome to killer content yet again. We are here and this is an exciting week because we are doing the giveaway for the Pogo the Clown painting, as you guys know, but we won't do it until the end of the this segment, because our killer this week is the one and only John Wayne Gacy, who painted Pogo the Clown on death row. And wowza, you guys are just gonna get so much information. Like, I'm telling you, there's just so much about this man. I condensed it way down, like way down. If you guys want to know more, of course, you can go on to the website, read the article, but you could also go and look at them. Wikipedia actually has like a lot of information about like the specific murders as well, so they're really awesome. But we're gonna start out with his childhood. So he was born in Chicago, and he was the second born child. He had an older sister who was the only son. They eventually had another daughter as well. And his dad was one of the cruelest human beings like I can ever imagine, honestly. His dad always compared him unfavorably to his sisters and was like saying he's so much worse than them and this and that. He was abusive to his wife and his kids, so like automatically that's not cool. And he was especially cruel to John. Like no matter what John did, it was bad. Like the first memory he has, well, one of his first memories he had is when he was 4. His dad had some engine parts laying around that he'd kind of like put together. Well, John, 4 years old, being dumb and a kid, was rearranging them, and his dad beat him with a leather belt for it. And I believe not long after that, his dad hit him upside the head with a broomstick and knocked him unconscious. So there's also that. Then at 6 years old, John had taken he went to a local store in the neighborhood and he stole a toy truck. And when he came home, his mom told him to return it. She made him walk all the way back to the store, return the truck, and apologize to the owners, which he did. Well, his mom then made the mistake of telling his dad what he did, and his dad lost it and beat him with a leather belt. Yeah, no, he beat him with a razor strap thing, the thing that you use to sharpen a razor blade. He beat him with one of those. So that was crazy. And then it goes on, and he's in school. I think he was like 4th grade or something like that. And John was caught with a fellow classmate fondling one of their classmates. That did not go over well whatsoever in that household. I'm sure you can imagine. And so that ended up poorly for him. And then he also was really overweight. He struggled with that like his whole life, especially in his childhood. And he had a heart disease. So he wasn't able to really do much of sports or anything like that. He couldn't really be athletic, and he started to suffer from blackouts and seizures and everything else. So he ended up failing out of school because there was a whole year between the time he was 14 and the time he was 18 that he was in the hospital for a whole year. And because the episodes just got so bad. And his dad, even while he was in there, was like, oh, this is just a plot to get sympathy. This is a lie. He doesn't really have any issues. And it's like, he's in the hospital for a year. What do you mean? But he missed so much school because of it, so he failed out. And then when he turned 18 and to try and please his father, he got a job as with a Democratic Party candidate. His dad was still not pleased, still called him a patsy and this and that and all this horrible stuff. And so he tried to seek approval from other people at that point. He ended up finding a woman named, what was it? I think it was Marilyn, yeah. He ended up, because he became a manager at a shoe company. He did training for it and everything, and he became a manager, got married to her. Her dad bought some KFCs and in Waterloo, Iowa, and so they moved out there, and so they moved out to Waterloo, and because she was going to manage some of the stores, and he ended up completing manager's training and doing all that, and well, here's when it really gets good. So this is when all of his his issues start happening. Wait, I totally missed a part. My bad. Okay. So before he found this lady and married her and blah, 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 he moved to Vegas because his dad bought him a car. He became a Democratic Party candidate, and then his dad bought him a car, and his dad took the gas cap off or something for some reason. I can't remember what. And when he put it back on, he drove to Vegas, became a mortuary's embalming person for a mortuary, and he had his first sexual kind of I don't want to say sexual experience, but sexual arousal with a teenage boy. He was a dead teenage boy, and he climbed in the casket with him and was like groping and fondling him, and it like shook him up, so he was like, can I move back? He called his mom, was like, can I move back? Would Dad think it's okay? Well, his dad agreed, so he moved back, became the manager, met Marilyn, whole shindig. They moved to Waterloo, and then he started running stores. Well, he hired people of both sexes, but he opened a club in the basement of his house, which was actually her parents' house. They had just vacated it for them, and he opened the club, and he would lure a lot of the kids down there and offer like alcohol and drugs, things like that, to kind of convince them to come down, and they did. He spent a lot of focus on more of the male employees than he did the female, and a lot of them were in high school. Well, his first assault on a kid was a kid whose last name was Voorhees. He was 15 years old, and John lured him to his house by saying that he was going to show him pornographic videos and everything else, and he was going to show him all of that stuff, and he gave him drugs and everything else, and he basically forced him to give him a blowjob. And that was really the first attack. He continued to do this for months on multiple boys, and one of them, he even like had him have sex with his wife. They were in like some swingers thing. I have no clue. And they had 2 kids, so like I don't understand how any of this went down. But had him have sex with his wife, and then he blackmailed him into giving him a blowjob. So I was like, oh, that's creepy. Like, this man is just a predator. Well, the Voorhees kid, I think it was like March of the next year, so it was a few months later because the attack happened in like August or something. And in the next year, in the beginning of the year, Voorhees told his dad, and his dad filed charges for oral, and John was subsequently arrested for oral sodomy. He was trying to say he was innocent the whole time, this and that, blah, 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 and everything else, but it didn't work out. He also got one of his employees to assault him. He convinced him to assault him, offered to pay him, and everything else. And it's like, what the fuck? Well, the kid did it. He lured him out to like this middle of nowhere place, and he sprayed mace in his face and like attacked him. Sorry guys, my dog is gonna be in the picture. Her collar's also dying, so it's just gonna flash green. We're actually in the Great Gatsby right now. Y'all didn't know it. But so he, oh, your claws are sharp, homegirl. So, the kid did it, and the kid got arrested. The Voorhees kid was like this and that because Gacy was trying to intimidate the witness and, into not testifying against him so, he wouldn't be charged. And, the kid got arrested, tried to say he was innocent, it wasn't him, and then eventually he was like, okay, I did it, but it was because he told me to. So then John had those charges brought against him. Well, did y'all know this is the Lilo show? So John had those charges brought against him at that point too. And after he had those charges, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and his wife issued a petition for an immediate divorce. She asked that she retain their house and the property, and that she also have full custody of the kids and receive alimony from him. And the court ruled in her favor. So, while he was in prison, he was known as a model prisoner. Like, he gained that reputation super quickly. And he was a member of this club called Gacy or something like that. It's a juniors thing, but I guess they also had a chapter in prison, and that was kind of like the swingers thing where the people traded wives and this and that and everything. So he became a member of that as well while in prison. And from there, eventually he grew the chapter from like 50 to 650 people. It was crazy. But he filed for like a ruling to where his sentence would be reduced and he would get parole. And that didn't work. And then his dad in 1969, on Christmas Day, passed away. And when he found out about it, he supposedly fell to the floor sobbing and tried to have supervised visit so he could attend the funeral, and they denied him of it. And it was just crazy. That whole situation was just crazy. Shortly after, though, he was given probation, 2 years of probation or something like that. But it was under the condition that he moved back to Chicago with his mom, and that he also continues to check in with like a probation officer and stuff like that. So that was his 2 conditions. So he did that. Well, he went there, became a line cook and everything else, and then he also, what was it? At one point, Lilo, quit. Lilo, there's nobody in the house. You are dumb. So anyways, so all of this is happening. It's going down. He goes back, becomes a line cook and everything. His mom helps him buy a house. And he starts up his own contracting business. Well, he gets the contracting business going, blah, 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 blah. And he hires a lot of like young teenage boys as employees for some reason. Well, not for some reason, obviously, because he fucking likes them. But a lot of high school boys and young men. Well, he started traveling to different states and everything else because his company was called PDM, and they worked with a company called PE, and they worked on the renovations of drugstores. So he was working on that project a lot, which caused him to travel from state to state and everything else. He eventually, after his business took off, quit his line cook job. He had assaulted a kid, and at one point, like 8 months before his thing was, it was one of his employees, and Gacy bought some property in Florida, and so he brought him down there to check him out, raped him in his hotel room, and they came back. Well, he was charged for the rape and everything else, but the charges fell through because the boy wouldn't come to trial to speak. So those got dropped, and his probation officer never found out about it, even though that would be a violation of his probation. So he was still good, and then 8 months later, it ended. So he was off the hook. And his contracting business just got up and up and up and up. Well, he became a member of something called the Moose Club or something, and found out about like the Jolly Jokers organization or something. It's like an organization for clowns. And he had a second wife at this time as well. No clue how the fuck this happened. And I think she got a divorce to him, and his house was like free and clear. And so he had decided that he was going to start killing people. He became Pogo the Clown, also known as the Killer Clown, and just started going on a rampage. I mean, full out. He killed 33 boys as known. That's just known. And 26 of those were found in the crawl space of his house. Creepy, right? Like, it's not just me that thinks it's creepy. I think they found some bodies buried at his mother's house as well, like in the yard. But it was mostly, he would pick up kids at a Greyhound bus station most of the time. And when he did, he would lure them back to his house. Say he's going to show them pornography, lure them with drugs, give them drugs and alcohol, gain their trust. And then he would show them the handcuff trick is what he called it. And he would put his hands behind his back and handcuff them. And then he would set himself free magically. But he really had the key in between his fingers the whole time. And then he would be like, here, let me show you how to get out of it. And so he would handcuff them, and then he would trick them and say, you see, The trick is you have to have the key. So then at that point, they kind of knew they were fucked, you know? They knew they were fucked. And this is so bad. He would rape and torture these boys after they were subdued. And sometimes to establish immobility, he would take handcuffs and handcuff their ankles to 2x4s each foot. So that's creepy. Off rip. And this is so bad. He would burn them with cigars. At first, though, he would sit on their chest. He's a big man. And he would sit on these kids' chests and force them to give him a blowjob. And then he would burn them with cigars and make them act like a horse while he sat on their back and pulled makeshift reins on their neck. And he would violate them with foreign objects like dildos and like prescription bottles and such. Is not good. Not good at all. And sometimes he even let his victims crawl to his bathroom, and he would halfway drown them. And he killed them by taking a rope and tying it around their neck and tightening it using the handle of a hammer. So, that's how he killed his victims. What a joy. I hated learning all of that. It was really rough because it's like here's these kids that, you know, they've only lived 15 years, you know, they don't have much of a life. They haven't really lived a life. Like, can you imagine if you would have died at 15 in such a horrendous way? Like, such a horrendous way. Oh my gosh. And I can't remember, there was one thing that he said was he referred to it as his last trick. Let me see here, because I have it in my article. Oh yeah, the rope tightening, he called that his last trick. Sorry, y'all, I'm being swarmed by mosquitoes right now. But he called it the rope trick, and he would tell them, this is the last trick. And apparently his victims would occasionally convulse for an hour or two before passing away. But he would keep their dead bodies underneath his bed for like 24 hours. And he would keep their dead bodies underneath his bed for 24 hours and sometimes take some of them to the garage where he would embalm them and then proceed to bury them underneath his crawl space. So, that is John Wayne Gacy. That is what he killed like and everything else. He was eventually executed. Thank God, the world is so much better without him. Not saying the world isn't still shit, but, you know, it's better without him. It's one less, like, horrible, shitty-ass person to deal with. So, that's him. I will be eventually adding to the article information on his arrest and trial. I will be doing that. It was such a long article already. It was such a headache. And like I said, lately my mental health has just been at an all-time low. So all of the support and the love I get from you guys means the absolute world to me. It really does. I can't express that enough. But enough sappy shit. We're off that. I have all of the names in a random name generator on my laptop. So it's a random name generator. I just typed them in and this thing's gonna pick for me. So I know if Rod said that he gets picked, you don't want it, but we'll see. We shall see here. Bum bum. Who's gonna get it? Mark. Congratulations, Mark. You are le winner. That sounds so weird. But Mark, congrats. I'm so happy for you. I will actually, if you want to message me on the Facebook page, and then I can get your address and your information. I'm going to send it with a sticker for you once I get those in. So I will be sending that out with the sticker, a killer content sticker for you. So super happy. Keep watching. Wednesday, I'm going to have the new killer up, and I'm going to have the new killer hint up on Wednesday, and then John Wayne Gacy was for Illinois. So hope you guys liked the video. I appreciate, again, all of your love and support, and stay killer.